So we're continuing part two of Unit 5.3, and we want to look a little bit about the importance of history and the analysis of history and what really happened. And, textbooks give us a short history of what takes place, but we need to do deeper investigations and analysis of what happened. So Christopher Columbus, he arrives on shore and they approach land, and it's interesting how this happens. When they approach the shore and they come onto land, they have swords and they come in contact with native Indians who are looking at this strange boat, strange people. And when Columbus encounters them, this is what Columbus says, his words. He says that the Indians, according to Columbus, quote, ran to greet them, bringing water, food, and gifts. He said they didn't bear arms. They did not know of weapons. He even goes on and says that he showed them a sword, and they even took the edge of the sword and they cut themselves out of ignorance. And what I think is important to understand the history of Columbus' encounters with these people is that these natives were remarkable for their hospitality and their belief in sharing. And so this first place that he lands, as you can see with these ships, he thought he was coming to be in China, but yet he was on the present day Bahamas, and he's going to claim it for Spain. And he began changing all of the names, and remember what happens. He even renamed himself. He adopts this first name, Christopherans, which means Christ bearer, that this was a divine mission for him. Remember, God, gold, glory. So as Columbus saw the hard work of these individuals, he said, these are the best resources to help me find the gold on the place, because that's what he thought. There was gold everywhere to be found. And so he starts looking. And he saw just a small little tiny bit of gold in a river. And he said, I know this place is full of gold. And so Columbus sends a report to Spain. This is when you speak before you really know everything that's going on. And he sends a report to Spain and he says, I've reached Asia. Really, you'd reached Bahamas. He says, I've reached China. Really in the Bahamas. But then he says, look, there's mountains, there's hills, plains, pastures. It's fertile, it's beautiful. He said that, and that was all true. But then he said, and there's many mines of gold. There are great spices for the taking. And so Columbus exaggerated reports. He exaggerated promises. So the next time he comes, the second expedition, if you will, he brings back 1,200 men and 17 ships. And the purpose is twofold. Bring back plenty of gold and bring back some of the natives. We can use them as good workers. So in other words, while Portugal really we'll see the slave trade going with Portugal, it's also with Columbus that we start to see the beginning of the slave trade. Columbus and his crew, they go island hopping. And they're taking more and more Indians captive, and they're finding little spices and gold. Now remember, Columbus had promised he was going to send back a lot of good stuff. But what can he send back? He hasn't found any gold. He's made promise to fill the ships with gold. And he believed that there were huge gold fields. And now he's not finding any gold. And so what he decides to do is take these friendly, unarmed natives, and he orders all natives who are 14 years of age or older that they have to collect a certain amount of gold every 3 months. And when they brought in the gold they had collected, they were given copper tokens that they would hang around their necks. If you didn't have a copper token, it means you didn't work hard enough. It means you didn't bring in what Columbus needed, and therefore they would have their hands cut off and they would probably bleed to death. You see, the Indians had an impossible task. There was only little bits of dust and gold that was around. And it is believed, now get this, that in 2 years of Columbus being on these islands, that through murder, mutilation, or suicide, that half of the 250,000 natives that were on that island, half of the 250 died because of Columbus' arrival. When gold wasn't found, Columbus loaded up the ships and he sent, instead of gold, thousands of natives as slaves. By 1515, there were 50,000 natives left on those islands. By 1550, there were 500 natives on those islands. By the year 1650, there were no descendants on that first tribe of natives on that island. This is why it's so important to study history. You see, when I was in school, the story of Columbus, it was this great story. It was full of heroic adventure, and it never mentioned anything about bloodshed. It never talked about slavery. We got out of school. We had a holiday. It was called Columbus Day. Never any mention of genocide. This is why we must study. You see, there's even a report that shows how vicious Columbus was. And remember, he's doing this for God. He's Christ bearer. He's a missionary for gold, for glory. But there's a report that Columbus once punished a man who was found guilty of stealing corn. He had his ears and his nose cut off, and then he sold him into slavery. Another individual, female native, had suggested that Columbus was of lowly birth and didn't deserve to be doing what he was doing, and they didn't need him, and he had her paraded through town naked and then had her tongue cut out. He would dismember bodies to discourage further rebellion, and a variety of things would happen. So, yeah, he claimed land for Spain. He helped establish settlements. He didn't find Asia, he found America. But what we need to understand is that he found it, and it wasn't the right way. You know, sometimes we go after God, glory, and gold, but we do it for the wrong purposes. We can see here that this quote says, societies, in fact, reconstruct their past rather than faithfully record them, and do so with the needs of contemporary culture clearly in mind. How has history accurately judged Columbus? Is he really a hero? Or is he a villain? It's a question that all of us need to ask, especially when it comes to that day known as Columbus Day.